if you guys didn't watch already, I linked, this is part 1 to my Jamaica tell all. I talked about my first few days in Jamaica, literally my first day and a half in Jamaica, and now we are going to talk about part 2 of Jamaica, where the real meat and potatoes happens, okay? So if you haven't watched already, my name is Crissy G. Welcome to the channel, and like I said, we are fixing to get into part 2. So I literally get dressed and we go right down and we take the shuttle. At this point, like, I don't even want to ask her for pictures because I could sense the feeling that she's annoyed about something, but I don't know what yet. We proceed to shuttle over to the beach, and we walk onto the beach, and guess who approaches me? It's the DJ. And I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus. Like, when I saw him early in the morning, I'm just like, oh my God. And he comes over and, hey, you did come out to the beach. And I was like, yes, I told you I was coming to the beach. I wasn't lying. And he was like, oh, no, I didn't think I was going to see you. And I was like, okay. I'm like, this is my friend. And I introduced her, and I was like, and this is Mike, the DJ. And she proceeded to, like, kind of half-ass shake his hand, like, oh, nice to meet you. But you could tell it was like, whatever, and, like, turns and walks away. And then he was like, hey, we're setting up for the Jamaica beach party tonight for Independence Day. It's like a huge celebration. Like, we're going to be doing all this authentic Jamaican dinner and, like, just talking about everything they were going to do, right? And I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. What time does it start? Like, we should be here. Like, we don't have any plans tonight. We were going to reserve a restaurant, but he said that most of the restaurants were going to be closing for that event because they were cooking a lot of different food for that event. So a lot of the restaurants were going to be closed. And I was like, okay, yeah, we'll probably just have dinner there. I'm like, do you need a reservation? And he's like, no, just show up early so that you can get a good table. I'm like, okay. So he walks off, and he's like, let me know if you guys want me to open the tarp for the beach chairs. I can help y'all. And I was like, no, that's fine. If I need anything, I'll let you know. He walks away. That is the last I hear of him until later on. She had gone into the water, and then I kind of go in, and she gets out. It's very awkward like that, right? Like, I get the sense that maybe she just wants to be left alone, because sometimes I don't have ear pods. I never hardly wear ear pods. And so a lot of the times I would say something and she wouldn't hear me, and then she would be like, what was that? And I'd be like, oh, I said blah, 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 blah. And then she would be like, oh, okay, and whatever. And she'd go back to her ear pods. And I felt a little something about that, you know? There's not a whole lot of conversation happening, to the point where, like, I went, you know, because we put up the shade thing, so there was no sun, and I kind of wanted to get some sun. And so I go sit in one of the lawn chairs with the sun, and I call my husband. And I'm like, guess who's alone? Guess who's sitting alone again? And he's like, shut up. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, I don't know. She's wearing her ear pods, and she seems a little annoyed right now. I'm like, so I just, you know, I sat over here. I'm like, I'm looking at all these girls walking by in their little 3, 4, 5 group girls, you know. There's a lot of girl trips, I guess, or a lot of like weddings going on. So there's like a lot of family and stuff. And so I see how these girls all get to the beach together. They all walk into the water together. They go sit in the floaties. And I'm just like, yeah, that's what I'm used to when I go on a girls trip. Whatever. So I'm talking to my husband. We talked for a good 20-30 minutes while I was on the lawn chairs. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go see you. I'm going to go sit with her again and see what's going on or whatever. So we go back over there. And then we do start to have conversation. And I even start to open up a little bit about, because I see all these men on the beach, old men, you know, dad bod men, hairy men. Man, what is it that, like, guys could give 2 shits about what they look like? Like, literally bellies out, hair everywhere, just no care in the world, you know, don't put no thought in their outfit. They could care less, running back and forth in and out of the beach. And yet, as women, we're so self-conscious about everything. And so many of us are wearing little cover-ups, or wearing, like, the full shirt cover-ups, or, you know, just, you could tell that women are more self-conscious about what they're looking like than the men are. Men couldn't care less. And so I go to have that conversation with her, and then she kind of tells me, like, well, when is it going to be enough for you? When is it going to be enough attention for you? And I'm like, what do you mean attention? I was like, I don't do everything that I do for attention. Like, I do it because I've been so insecure and so self-conscious about my body all my life that I felt like I needed to do all these things to feel better about myself. And I do now. And I'm finally starting to love myself 10 surgeries later and 60 pounds later. You know, I'm finally becoming that butterfly we talked about. I've been a fat, sluggish caterpillar for over 30 years of my life, and I finally grew my beautiful wings, and I'm soaring right now. Like, I'm loving my life right now. Like, I'm loving that I could shop online and buy everything and love how everything looks on me. And that never happened before. I never could shop online because, God forbid, nothing fit me right. I had to physically go look for clothes. And so I didn't go into all that, but I'm letting you guys know how I feel, right? And so she's just kind of like, and I was like, I'm not doing it for the attention. I was like, and this is why as a mother, I'm very selective of how I talk to my girls about their bodies or what they wear. Because not always will they pick the most flattering outfits, but I don't say anything because if they feel confident enough to wear something, then that's them and good for them, because I grew up being body shamed, and I don't think my mom did it on purpose. I don't think she knowingly was body shaming me. She was just very direct, like, that don't look good on you. You could see this. No, that don't look good. You need to go wear something else. Those pants don't look good on you. Your ass looks flat in that. Your fupa showing in that. You need to wear longer shirts. You need to wear not. It was always like constantly critiquing me on what I would wear and couldn't wear and should wear, shouldn't wear. And so all that stays with you for forever. And so that's why I'm very conscious of how I talk to my girls about how they're dressed, or, you know, their lack of, because I let them be free as far as how they dress. And so we go on to talk about that. And then, you know, I tell her, like, why do you cover up? Like, you know, we're in Jamaica, like, flaunt it, girl. Like, be, you know, she's single. I don't know, just, I'm very supportive in that manner. You guys know this. Like, I wish that I didn't have to have done all this that I've done to have the self-confidence that I have. Like, I wish I could be like some women who are proud of their bodies just the way they are every step of the way. And, you know, I was never that. Like, I've literally, even after plastic surgery, I wasn't completely happy. It wasn't until I lost under 200 pounds that, or lost, you know, the 60 pounds to get under 200, that I finally started feeling happy about my body. So we kind of have that deep conversation, and then I could tell something just wasn't vibing. And so at this point, she's like, well, I really want to go get pizza. Well, I told her I really wanted to go get pizza, that I've been wanting to try the pizza place because all the reviews talk about how great this pizza is. And so we finally were like, okay, well, we're going to leave our stuff here, so we have the chairs when we come back, but let's go find the pizza. So we finally walk clear across the way. We find the pizza place, and we start to order. She orders first, and then I order, and then she goes to sit down, and then the lady tells me it's going to be 45 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. So I turn around and I tell her it's going to be 45 minutes. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, okay, no, I was just letting you know because the lady literally just told me it was going to be 45 minutes. So I'm just letting you know it's going to be 45 minutes. And then I sit down and I kind of look off to the side because, like, I am a little annoyed at this point, right? But I'm just, like, trying to keep it cool. And then she's like, are you upset about something? And I was like, no. Is there something I should be upset about? And she's like, no, you just seem like you're upset about something. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. Because obviously I'm on a vacation. I'm a grown-ass woman, and I'm not going to sit here and start acting like I'm on the Real Housewives of Bel-Air or something. I'm like, no, everything's fine. I was like, well, I'm going to go get in the pool because I'm going to be sitting out here for 45 minutes. And literally the pool was right next to the pizza bar. So it's like you could see your pizza being ready or whatever. So I get in the pool, and she kind of follows suit behind me. A few steps behind me. There's people everywhere at the swim up bar talking. It looks like everyone's just talking. Like, everybody's just having a good time talking to each other. I don't know how they know each other. Maybe they just met. I don't know. I walk past everyone and literally go straight to the other end of the pool where there's nobody at, because everybody's over here by the pool, swimming pool, and I'm like over there by myself because there was a bench and I'm sitting and it's sunny. And then she comes up next to me and she made a comment. It was small talk, right? And then she made a comment like, yeah, this is why I picked this hotel. I was looking at all the reviews, and they said this was the perfect hotel for a girls' getaway because it's a lot of, oh, because I made that comment. I said, I love how it just looks like everyone knows each other here. Like everywhere we go, people are like, hey, and she was like, yeah, because there's a lot of families and weddings, and a lot of people come here in big groups. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. It just seems like everybody knows each other. And then that's when she proceeds to start to make the comment about how she picked that hotel because it's a perfect for girls because it's a lot of couples and it's a lot of weddings and families gathering there for weddings and stuff like that. So you won't be getting hit on constantly by men. So that's why it's the perfect girls trip. And she's like, little did I know the staff was going to be hitting on you. What do you say to that? I can't control. And what staff? The one guy, the DJ, DJ Michael, whatever it was, like that guy, that's who's hitting on me, because the other guy was the married hotel guest. It wasn't part of the staff. And that was it. Like, who else have I talked to? Who else is hitting on me? Like, all the people who've been telling me how pretty I am have been females. So, okay, there was that comment, and I was just adding to my frustration at this point, and I'm just like, okay. So then she's like, I'm going to go get my drink. Literally, it's been 5 minutes. She's like, I'm going to go get my drink. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, let's see what happens. So sure enough, she gets out of the pool, goes to get her drink, clear across the way, and sits down at the table. Mind you, we still have probably a good 30 minutes before the pizza's ready. So I'm like, seriously? Like, you're just going to leave me sitting here by myself in the pool with no one to talk to so you could go sit by yourself? Like, what is going on? And I'm like sitting there at the pool watching everyone talk, watching couples read their books, and I'm just sitting there kind of like, seriously? Like, I don't know what's going on. And so 30 minutes goes by of me thinking of just how frustrated I'm feeling and how it feels to be alone on a trip when you thought it was going to be like this fun girls trip. So I see the pizzas coming out, so I get out of the pool and I go sit down and we start to eat. And I had ordered a dessert pizza plus my regular pizza, and she's like, oh, I didn't know they had dessert pizza. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm not gonna eat it. I was like, I cut it in half, and I was like, you're welcome to eat the other half. I just wanted to try it and see what it was like. She's like, okay. We eat our pizza, small talk again. We finish, so we start to, she complains because, at this point I'm in my bathing suit. I'm not wearing my little cover up. I'm just wearing my 2-piece bathing suit. And she says, these ladies can be so rude at the hotel. She's like, she told me I had to cover up, so you're gonna need to put your cover up on. And I was like, okay. I mean, this is like before I sit down to eat, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, like whatever. Yeah, I kind of figured the restaurants usually want you to wear something on top of your bathing suit. So I put on my little skirt cover up. And she's like, I don't know why the staff is being so rude. I'm gonna make sure to leave a review because I feel like the women here are kind of rude. And I was like, yeah, I guess they could be a little rude. I was like, but I don't know. Like, they've been really nice to me every time I'm in the lobby. So I don't know, like whatever. I don't encounter a lot of women here all the time. And then the one bartender lady was cracking up with me, like having a good time. So like, I don't know. I haven't really had any issues. So anyways, we finish our pizza. We walk back to the beach. I want to go back onto the beach because I don't have these beautiful, marvelous, sparkling blue beaches anywhere near me in Texas. And so I don't really care to spend a lot of time in the pool. We kind of just got out of one and it was not anything fun to me. Not that the beach was popping, but at least it's beautiful. And I just feel relaxed hearing the waves and seeing the clear blue water and being waist deep and seeing my toes. And it's just like, I'm loving the beach, like absolutely loving it. We get back to the beach and she's like, well, you ready to go to the pool? I really want to see what's going on at the pool, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, no, I don't want to go to the pool. But for the sake of not being alone and for the sake of not making her not feel like I'm avoiding her or like trying to be there on the beach alone, I was like, no, yeah, that's cool. We'll go. Well, as we're walking towards the shuttle, this parade is fixing to start. And I will put that video here. And so the parade's fixing to start. So like a lot of the staff is dressed in like these extravagant like feathers and like these beautiful outfits. Some of the guys are wearing like some crazy like mascot looking, outfits. And guess who pops up? It's the DJ. and he's got these little flags, and he's like, oh, you guys want some flags? Y'all want to join the parade? And I was like, yeah, no, I don't think we're gonna join the parade. And he's like, yeah, it's a really long walk. He's like, it's cool. He's like, it's really cool that you guys are here, like blah blah blah. So I'm like, yeah. So I start to record everything that's going on. But we're like at the beginning of the parade, so like they're literally lined up, and we're kind of like off to the side, like letting them line up so that they could start their parade. We proceed to get onto the shuttle. The parade started, they start walking away, and we get on the shuttle and we go back to the main pool. The main pool is packed, like there's no seating available, like all the seats are taken up. And we have to kind of like randomly leave our stuff at a pole, like on a barrier that was there. I have my phones in there. On the beach, I had my backpack the whole time, or like I could see my chair from where we were at, so I didn't feel insecure about it. But like here, it's in a random like spot where people can just, it's not at a chair or anything. So like I'm kind of wanting to keep an eye on our stuff. I don't want to swim so far away. I'm very untrusting like that. And so she's like, you don't want to get in the water? Because I was in the water, but like in the little ledge part. And I was like, well, I'm kind of keeping an eye on our stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll hang out here. Like, I'm in the pool, you know? And she's like, well, I'm going to go get a drink. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So I see that the parade is coming. So I kind of just sit there patiently waiting. And at this point, like, I see her walking towards the bar. And guess who I'm on the phone with? Hubby. I call my hubby and I'm like, I'm alone once again. She's off getting a drink. I'm like, I don't know, something just doesn't feel right. Something's just not right. Like, I'm literally telling him this, and he was just like, that sucks, babe. I'm so sorry. Like, it sucks that you're spending so much time by yourself. I don't know what the problem is. Like, I don't know what's going on. He's like, I did notice she was a little different last time we hung out. He's like, she just seemed a little different. He's like, but I don't know, like, it sucks. Sorry. He's like, sorry, you're having like a bad time. And I'm like, no, it's cool, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, I'll let you go because the parade's fixing to start. Okay, so I start recording the parade. There's dancers that come. They do the national anthem, I guess, for their Independence Day. So like everybody has to get up and like salute the flag and whatnot. Go through all that, and then she comes back upset that they wouldn't give her a drink, that she stood at the bar and that they just ignored her, and she was upset. She asked people where they got their coconut drinks, because there was the huge coconut drinks and it had sandals like burned into it. It looked really cute. I keep asking people where they got, nobody could tell me where they got the coconut drinks. And she's like, I was just ignored, and other people came to the bar, and she was just really upset. And I'm like, well, do you want me to go to the bar with you? And she's like, no, I don't want anything now. And I was just like, oh, okay. And then I turn and I see that the couple behind us has the 2 coconut drinks. And I'm like, hey, where did you guys get the coconut drinks? And they're like, oh, there was a buffet earlier at the swim up pool. And so they had a table laid out with a bunch of the coconuts, and it was just a grab and go thing. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, you probably missed out on the coconuts. I'm like, because it sounds like it was just a buffet grab and go. And she's like, whatever. She's upset about that. So finally, probably a good 20 minutes in, a couple gets out of their chairs, because at this point, 3:30ish, so people were starting to start to leave, right? Because they're going to start getting dressed for dinner. So she's like, oh, look, 2 chairs came up. Let's go sit. Well, you guys know, I'm like waiting for a good photo op because I need to post content. And so yes, I'm enjoying myself, but like at the same time, I'm always in the back of my mind thinking like, where can I take good photos? Like, where's the good opportunity for photos? Like the swimsuits that I have to show, all that good stuff. So we sit right next to a stairway. It's a pretty stairway. It's nothing grand, but it's good enough for pictures and short videos or whatever. So she's kind of laying out there, and you know, with her ear pods in again. I start taking pictures, taking video, and then like I get on the stairway, I set up my tripod. Like luckily I took my tripod because Debbie is my biggest hype girl, and she will like be ready. She doesn't take the best pictures, but she is ready to take them pictures. Let me tell you, like Debbie is my biggest hype girl, and she's like ready to be my like picture taker, video taker, whatever. Not so much the case with my friend. She's just kind of like, I could tell she's like annoyed by it, so I don't even want to ask her anymore at this point. So luckily I took my tripod with me, so I like pop it up, put my camera on there, and I start taking pictures. Now almost gonna be 4, and she's like, well, I'm gonna head to the room to get ready. And I was like, well, I'll give you a head start because you're gonna take a shower first, and you know, because she takes longer to get ready, because you know, I don't have to do anything here. I just gotta wash myself from the neck down. And so she's like, okay. I'll meet you up there or whatever. And I was like, okay, sounds good. So I stay just enough to start kind of packing my stuff back in the bag. And then I'm like, oh, I remember there's like a swing up at the top of the stairway, like a really cute swing and like a bed looking thing. And I was like, oh yes, I'm gonna go take me some pictures while she's busy doing her thing. Like I'll go get rid of these pictures so that I don't have to bother her with like taking time away from us to take those pictures. And as I'm putting my stuff up, I look over and it's the guy with the wife that was going to ATV riding from the night before. Any other time, I wouldn't have said anything because I always feel like people don't remember who I am and people don't recognize me. So at this point, I turn over to see him and then I'm like, hey, bar from last night. And he was like, hey, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm good. I'm like, where's your wife? And he's like, oh, we had a long day, so she's taking a nap. And I'm like, now you sound like me, because you remember the night before she was asleep. And so I was like, now you sound like me. And he laughs. And I'm like, how did the ATV thing go? And he was like, oh, it was great. We had a lot of fun. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I'm like, what are you guys doing tonight? And he was like, oh, we're probably just gonna, we have dinner reservations. And I'm like, oh, okay, you guys aren't gonna go to the dinner and the show. And he was like, we might hit that up later or whatever. And I was like, oh, cool, maybe we'll see you guys up there, whatever. That was the extent of that. I thought it was cool. Like, I'm getting out of that shell, right? Like any other day, I would not have spoken to him, especially if I felt like he didn't recognize me and didn't say anything to me. But I was like, no, let me just, you know, spew it and like to put it out there, you know, because that's what people do on vacations, right? Like they make friends and then they hang out the rest of the time. Okay, so I leave and I go take my pictures on the swing and whatnot. And then I head over to the reservation to make reservations for dinner. And they're like, you already booked reservations? And I'm like, no. And they're like, yeah, somebody booked reservations at 9 o'clock for the seafood place. And I was like, oh, I was like, I don't think so. I'm like, but okay, well, don't cancel them. Maybe she did book it for the seafood place because she knew I wanted to go to the Japanese place or whatever. So then I go upstairs and she just had got out the shower. And then I'm like, oh, I bumped into that one husband that I met, the couple that I met. And she's like, oh, I don't think you should be talking to husbands. And I was like, no, not the one that I didn't know was married. I'm talking about like the ones that was being cool, like the couple that was being cool with me. And she's like, yeah, that's not a good idea. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I must have missed something. She's confused. I don't know. Whatever. So I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, did you make dinner reservations? Because they wouldn't let me make dinner reservations for the Asian restaurant. They said you would book. And she's like, yeah, well, they said they didn't have anything available for the Asian restaurant. So that's why I booked the seafood. And I was like, well, she just told me she had like a 7 o'clock or something. I'm like, 9 o'clock is kind of late. And she was like, okay, well, go change it if you want. And I was like, okay, cool. So I go downstairs and like I quickly change the reservations and then I come back up and proceed to get ready. And I pop my contact lenses in. I put on a tight ponytail and, you know, your girl's feeling cute. I put on this orange dress that looks really pretty. I've had it for almost a year and I've never got to wear it. And I'm like, this is like the perfect night. It's orange. It's like very vibrant. Like, it's very pretty. My husband, I tried it on like literally the night before when I was packing. And I was like, hey, can you zip up this dress? Because I want to make sure it fits me before I take it. And he's like, yeah. So I zipped it up and he's like, okay, that dress is really nice. It looks good on you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy it still fits me or whatever. So I unzip it, throw it in the suitcase. I'm just validating that even my husband was okay with all the clothes that I took over to Jamaica. All right, fast forward to dinner. We're downstairs and we're taking pictures because they're taking photos of all the guests, right, as they're walking into the dinner. And there's like people on stilts and there's people in costumes and all that good stuff. Okay, you guys get together, go ahead and give you guys get a hug and a kiss. And we're like, no, we're not a couple. And we like made a joke about it. And she was like, I knew that was gonna happen. I knew people were gonna think that we were a couple. And I was like, yeah, that's funny. I'm like, yeah, I had a feeling people were gonna think we were lesbians or something. I was with my sugar mama or something. And maybe that offended her because I said she'd be my sugar mama, but she is in her 50s and I'm still 39. So I seemed relevant at the time. I don't know. It was a joke. So anyways, they go on to sit us down because, you know, they're seating you as you're coming in and trying to see where they can fit you on tables because you're going to be sitting with a bunch of random people. So the first table they choose is too far back for her. The second table they choose, where our backs are facing the stage. So she's like, can we sit at that table over there? And it was like literally the very first table by the stage. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. Again, I didn't choose the table. She did. So we go to sit. And of course, the DJ is right there because he's by the stage. And so he quickly spots us out. the show is happening, we're eating dinner. Then she gets up and she's like, I'm gonna go take a picture with the guy on the stilts. And I was like, oh, you want me to go with you? That way I can take a picture with, you know, like I could take your picture. And she's like, no, I'll just take a selfie. I know how to do the selfie with the guy. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. I mean, I kind of wanted to go so I could get my own picture, but okay, I got the vibe that she wanted to go by herself. At this point, it's starting to make sense that she doesn't want to be next to me because I feel like she thinks that I'm getting the attention and she doesn't want to hear it anymore at this point. So she goes on to take the pictures, and then we go get our food. We sit down to eat. We eat. And then she's like, I'm going to go to the restroom. And I'm like, okay. So she leaves to the restroom. So again, I'm sitting by myself with a crowd that I don't know. And then at the very end of the show, they bring the dancers off the stage, and they start pulling people from the tables nearby to go like twerk and dance and whatnot. Again, I am too shy to go up there. And I would love to have gone up there to shake my ass because I have one, but I didn't. Because again, although people think otherwise, I'm very shy in that sense. And so she gets up and she starts to dance. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I grab my camera and I'm recording her and I'm taking pictures of her so that I can proceed to send them to her so she could have memories of her having a good time dancing on the stage. And like I'm like okay, smile and taking pictures, and I'm like, okay, like let's just, you know, keep the good vibe, whatever. So she's up there dancing. Looks awkward because, you know, people are like with their own friends and with their own families, and she's up there by herself with the dancers and stuff, and it just, you know. But I stay behind and I take pictures and I stay at the table the entire time, and then she starts to make her way back to the table, and the DJ comes up and he was like, hey, oh, the show was a disaster, like it was so unorganized. And I'm like, no, I'm like, look, people are like too drunk to even notice, like it's fine, like no, I don't think anybody noticed. And he's like, no, it was a mess, blah blah blah. So he proceeds to tell us that the after party is going to be at the beach club again, that little where he was trying to make me go the night before or whatever. Like, okay, cool, yeah, we'll probably go up there for a little while because at this point it's going to be 10 o'clock barely. And I was like, yeah, we'll probably go up there. He walks away because he's like, I gotta go set up and I gotta go shut this down and go back over there to that side, whatever. And I'm like, man, that sucks. Like, they've been at it all day. Like, he literally bumped into me at like 7 in the morning or like 8 o'clock in the morning or something. And now here it is 10 o'clock and he still has to go over to wherever to go DJ at the beach club or whatever. She starts to walk away from me. And I don't know what she's looking for at this point. Like, she's walking in the opposite direction of the beach club, and she kind of is just like looking around, walking off, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm leaving. Like, I don't know what's going on here. So I proceed to walk off, and I start to walk towards the feet washing place because it's right before you get to the beach club area. There's a little spot where you could, because we're on the sand at this point having the dinner, right? So there's sand all in my feet. So I go to wash my feet and I realize she's behind me, and I'm like, oh hey, I was like, I didn't know you were behind me. And then I'm like, did you want to go to the beach club? And she's like, yeah, we can go for a little while. And I was like, okay, cool. So we wash our feet, and then I said, I gotta go to the restroom, I can't hold it anymore. And she's like, okay, cool, I'll go with you. So we go in the restroom, we use the restroom, I walk out, I wash my hands, I grab the paper to dry my hands, and then she's like, oh my god, Crystal, where's your ring? Where's your ring? And I'm like, what? And like, I immediately go into a panic, like, what? My heart drops, and she's like, where's your wedding ring? Oh my god. And I'm like, girl, I haven't worn my wedding ring in months. I've been wearing this ring. Hubby gave it to me for Mother's Day, I think. It was in May, and it's been on that finger ever since. I love this ring. You guys know how partial I am to hearts, and it fits me because it's a smaller size. It's a size 7 instead of a size 8 and 9 that I typically would wear because I lost so much weight. And I love this ring. Like, I love it, and it's on my wedding finger, and it's a heart, and like, I love this ring. And I'm like, girl, I haven't worn my wedding ring in like months because I lost all that weight, and it does, like, it literally will just fly off of me sometimes. And I'm afraid I'll lose it one day. Washing my hands especially, it gets slippery, and God forbid I drop it down a drain or something. Like, that was an expensive ring. I'm not trying to lose that ring. Hubby knows it's been put away for a very long time now. And I just haven't gone to go resize it because I'm pretty sure I can go get it sized down or whatever, but I just haven't done it. I'm just like, it didn't dawn on me then until everything unraveled, but to think now, I'm like, That was her way of being like, bitch, you ain't wearing your wedding ring because you're trying to act single right now or something. And it's not even the case, okay? Not even the case. Anyways, we start walking towards the beach club. We get to the beach club and the DJ's there. Obviously, he said he was going to be there. But then the bartender is my boy from the night before. And I get so excited when I see him because I'm like, hey. And he was like, oh, hey. And, you know, we like, he's like, what are you going to have to drink? And I was like, what do you want to drink? And she's like, I'm going to have a water. And I was like, okay, a water for her and a Jamaican rum punch for me because those things are good. And so he goes on to make our drinks. I give her a water bottle. She goes to stand at a table. I get my rum punch. We walk to the table. You guys, this was like part of what made this experience so sad to me. Okay, so we're sitting at the table and I spot these two girls out that are like at the bar at this point. And one of them looked like a younger girl and one of them looked like an older woman. Both were beautiful. The young girl, you know, she's thin. She had a beautiful red dress on and it was open in the back, but it had like the strings crisscrossed in the back. And I saw her and I was like, that is a dress I would have totally wore because that is a pretty like red dress and she looked good in it. Natural body and everything, but she was thin and so she looked pretty in her dress. And then her friend looked like an older Botoxed woman, but like you could tell she was maintained. Like she had the blonde hair, the colored eyes. You know, you could tell she had the Botox because she had like that lifted look, and she just still looked like a beautiful woman, older woman. And so I was looking at them like they're so pretty and like two friends having a good time, you know. I'm sitting here a little jealous, and so I'm looking at them. Whatever, they caught my eye for obvious reasons, and then. So I see them walk away and we're still kind of small talk and she's complaining that she's really hot. The DJ approaches us and he was like, hey, blah, like it's so hot in here. And he was like, yeah. He's like, do you want me to try to get some fans or something? And she's like, oh, no. Like, I don't want to bother you like that. And then he's like, well, I'm going to go get into some different clothes and I'll be back. And I was like, hey, do you think you could find like a rubber band or something for her so she can put her hair up? And he was like, yeah, for sure. Like, I'll see what I can find. And I was like, okay, cool. See, like still trying to be a good friend. He takes off. And then I can't remember the exact timeline of events or like what happened when, but at some point, the two girls that I saw earlier come from behind me. And the girl in the red dress comes from behind me. And at this point, okay, so before this happened though, she comes to sit to the side of me. And there's a big girl, like a big girl sitting at the bar with a guy or something, I don't know. And she approaches our table and comes straight to talk to my friend. And I immediately got like the fuck the skinny bitch vibe from them. Like, I don't know, like it just felt like, big girls tag team together against the girls who they feel like are stuck up bitches, I guess. I don't know. And so she like proceeds to talk to my friend, and my dumbass trying to be friendly was like, hey, I was like, I really like your romper, it's so cute. And she's like, thank you. Turns to look at my friend, is like, your shirt is so pretty. And my friend's like, oh, thank you. And I'm just like, oh, okay, like I kind of got that, girl, like I got the rude vibe here, but like whatever. Like in my mind, you guys, I'm like, wow, because for so long, like if she only knew the struggles that I've been through and the fact that the way I look right now is absolutely not how I looked a year or two ago, and how like depressing it was for me for so many years that I was the fat girl who just the ugly fat girl. Like, I'll just call it what it is. And like the fact that that's why I think people are always so surprised that I'm so nice, because I know what it feels like to be bullied. I know what it feels like to be ignored. I know what it feels like to be at the bar waiting for a drink and no one acknowledges you, but all the hot girls walk up and get helped immediately. Like, I know what that feels like because I was that, okay? I might not have that issue now, but I had it for a long time, okay? So for her to like have done that to me really made me feel some type of way. And for my friend to like ignore me and feel like, I'm getting attention and you're not, that's exactly like what she did. Like, she like totally ignored me while she was having this awesome conversation with this girl, like making it a known point that like, I'm getting the attention, you're not. Ha, she told me my shirt was pretty, didn't tell you nothing. Like, this is what I'm getting, right? So I'm like, okay, whatever. Just sitting there listening to their conversation, trying to act like I'm not alone. And so then she, the girl walks off, and then my friend comes back over to this side. At this point, the two girls approach me. And, well, the one girl in the red dress approaches me, and she's like, girl, I just had to come over here and tell you how absolutely beautiful you are. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. And then I was like, I was thinking the same thing about you when I saw you earlier at the bar. I was like, I love your dress. And like, she's like, no, girl, I love your dress. And she's like, what's your name? And I'm like, Crystal. And she's like, oh my God, shut up. My name is Crystal, with a C or a K. And I'm like, I'm with the C. And she's like, I'm with a K. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that's so crazy. She's like, you're just giving me like the beautiful Latina vibe. And I'm like, girl, that's because I am Latina. I was wearing contacts that night, but I still look very Latina. And she's like, yes, I'm loving this vibe, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, what are you guys doing here? And I was like, oh, well, my friend's here celebrating that, her kids graduated college and all that good stuff. And she's like, girl, congratulations, blah, blah. She grabs her glass and like clinks it, and she tells her cheers. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm just tagging along. Like, I was just here for the fun. And she was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And like, she has small talk with me. And at this point, like after my friend clanked her glasses or whatever, she like literally did this and like turned her back to us, like whatever, and just like completely ignored us at this point. I'm catching all this body language, you guys, because I'm already like on eggshells and like alert. So I'm like catching all of this, right? And I'm just like, seriously, like I didn't do that when the girl approached you earlier. Like I stayed in the conversation, even though clearly you two were ignoring me on purpose. And then, okay, so the girl walks off, right? So then she's sitting there, and the big girl comes and grabs her again. And it is like, let's go dance. You know how to dance this song? Come dance with me. And like they pull each other to the dance floor and completely ignore me. And I'm like, okay, if it was me, if it was the other way around, I would have totally grabbed my friend and be like, come on, let's go dance. Because that's what friends do. Like they invite each other. Especially when your friend's going to be left there sitting alone and you're just dancing with another girl. You take your friend with you and you dance together. And I was just like, all right. So you're willing to go dance with a stranger, but you're just going to leave me here by myself at the table. And again, I'm just like the anger is just building inside me, you guys. And at some point she comes back to the table, and now the DJ's back, gives her a rubber band so she can put her hair in a ponytail so she's not suffering from so much heat. And he brings over shots. She went and got a shot. That was another one. She went and got a shot at the bar and didn't bring me one. She just brought herself a shot. Like, who does that? You don't even do that when you pay for shots. Usually if you're with a group of friends and there's 2, 3, 4, 5 of y'all and you go get a shot, you buy a round of shots for all your friends. Or at least that's how we do it. They're free. I could go grab a shot for the entire bar and be a good friend. So she comes back with her own shot, drinks it, and proceeds to say, I wanted to have whatever they're having because they look happy. And I'm just like, okay, another shot. Fine. Pun intended. And I'm just like, okay. So at this point, the DJ comes and he brings shots to the table. 2 shots. One for me and one for him. And I'm like, yeah, how does it feel? How does it feel not to be part of the, like, included? And we do the shot thing or whatever, and he walks away because, of course, they're all friends, like the bartender, everybody. And it was funny because the married guy walks in with his wife, like the one that I wasn't trying to talk to, walks in with his wife, and the bartender goes up there. He's like, did you see? He's here with his wife. And I'm like, yeah, go tell him I was here first, and he needs to leave. And the bartender's laughing about it, whatever. And then the DJ, they walk off. And so at this point, you could tell she's like bothered. Like she's sitting there like not happy. And I'm like, hey, is something wrong? Like what's going on? Oh my dear Jesus, you guys. She like literally blows up and she's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be in the middle of this. I don't know. Jesse already said I'm some kind of bad influence. I don't know where he got that idea. And I don't remember my husband ever saying that. I do remember my mom telling her this a few weeks ago because we were at the beach and she mentioned something about tattoos, and my mom is very against tattoos. I don't have any, and my husband's covered in them, but I don't have any. And so she's got some tattoos now, and my mom made the comment of, don't go being a bad influence on my daughter. And then everybody's like, she's a grown-ass woman, and kind of thing. And that was like that was what I heard, okay? If my husband said to her that she was a bad influence at some point, he doesn't remember, I don't remember. It could have been, he could have been joking, I don't know. That's what she claims, okay. So she's like, I don't know where he got that idea. I don't know what you told him to make him think that I'm the bad influence, but I don't want none of this. I don't want a part of this. And I'm like, you don't want nothing of what? Like, I'm not doing anything. She's like, don't act like you didn't tell him to meet you here. Don't act like y'all didn't have all this planned out. And I'm still like, it's blowing my mind, because I'm like, you were there when he said for us to meet him here, because this is where the after party, everybody from like a lot of the people that we saw at the dinner party were here also. Like, it wasn't just me. So then at this point, I look over at the DJ and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I apologize, but my friend is offended that you're here and you're not going to be able to hang out here the rest of the night. How humiliating and like embarrassing is that? And so I'm like, I'm so sorry. And he was like, she's like, I don't think her husband would approve of this. And he was like, awkward, literally. And he's like, okay. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I know this is really embarrassing for me. I was like, I apologize. I'll catch up with you later. I don't know, tomorrow. I'll talk to you soon. I was like, I'm sorry, but you can't hang out here. Okay. After the guy went and got her a rubber band and was like being cool and whatever, like, whatever. How embarrassing is that? Okay, I never had the intentions to do anything with this man, okay? I was being cool with him because I was being cool with everybody. And my husband knew everything that was going on. It wasn't like I was hiding anything from him. I told him that I met him. I told him that I met the other guy. I've told him about everything that's been going on to this point. I tell her that and she's like not having it or whatever. So at this point, I'm furious. I'm like absolutely furious. And the DJ walks off because he's like awkwardly embarrassed and walking off at this point. And I see that the girl in the red dress is right behind me. And so I turn around, like she's literally right behind me. So I turn around and I'm like, hey, it was really nice meeting you. I hope you guys have a blast. I'm going to call it a night. Blah, 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 blah. She's like, oh, let me have your number. If I'm ever in Texas, like I'll hit you up. And so we exchange numbers really quickly. And awesome chick, whatever. And then so I see that there's a bench right outside of the bar, like maybe 20 feet away from where we're sitting. So like I'm literally walking out of the bar and dialing my husband's number. Well, he's on speed dial. So like I open my phone and like I hit his number. It's literally ringing before I even walk out of the bar. And I'm like full blown tears because I cry when I'm upset. And I'm like full blown tears. And I'm like, oh my God, like she just like embarrassed me. And like she was just the whole night, like I explained the whole like situation with the big girl that came over. And I just say big girl for reference because I felt like the bullied one here. Like I felt like no one's talking to you. You get attention all the time. This is our time. Like it felt like that, you guys. And so I'm telling my husband like everything that's going on. And like 5 minutes into the conversation, I look over to the bar and she's not there. She's disappeared. The way to the shuttle was you had to walk towards my way. You could go the other way, but it's like the long way. You had to go through mine to get to the shuttle a little bit faster. So I know she was purposely avoiding me. And she says that I left her there probably to leave with the DJ because I went to text her like, you know, I'm really disappointed. Like, I can't believe that after knowing me, you would seriously think that I'm just going to hook up with some random guy in Jamaica. And, you know, like Jesse knew about everything that was going on. And FYI, Jesse didn't say that you were the bad influence. That was my mom. I was there when she said it. I was like, it was my mom. And then, you know, blah, 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 blah. And so like, I'm just like in disbelief, like blah, blah, blah. And then she comes back and is like, don't gaslight me. This was all you're doing. You literally came to Jamaica just to see how much attention you could get from men. You literally used me to get here. All this stuff. And it's like, so I'm like on the phone, like bawling my eyes out with my husband and reading everything that's going on back and forth. And she's like, you're the one, you know, don't act all innocent. You should have never been having any kind of conversation with the DJ. You should have never done this. You're the one accepting gifts from men and having breakfast with men and just like all this stuff, you guys. And I work in a male-dominated industry. I've worked in a male-dominated industry for almost 10 years now, more than that probably. And yes, I get a ton of gifts from my employees all the time. And I typically accept them because it's just like they feel appreciative that I take care of them and that I do so much for my employees. And so sometimes they'll bring me a bottle of something. Sometimes they'll bring me a knick-knack from wherever they went. I had one give me a shawl the other day because they went to the Bahamas, and he's like, my wife picked it out. And my husband knows pretty much about every gift that I've got, unless I keep it at my office, because sometimes they'll give me shot glasses or coffee mugs or something, and I just keep them at my office, or Yeti cups with my name on them, or I get all sorts of gifts, yes, all the time. And typically I'm very appreciative, because most people get offended if you don't accept a gift from them. And hardly ever is it the ones that are trying to get in my pants giving me gifts. It's the employees who are genuinely appreciative of me, and, or at least I like to believe that that's the case. Sometimes I do get the more aggressive employees, but quickly they realize that I'm not going to fall into that game, because I'm not going to risk my job for something like that. Okay, so it's like, yeah. And the guy that brought me breakfast, no, I didn't go have breakfast with anyone. He came and brought me breakfast. And you know what? A lot of people come and bring me breakfast sometimes. They haven't recently, because they know I'm on a weight loss journey, and so they like don't even offer it to me anymore. But there was a time when people would be like, I brought tacos, I brought kolaches, I brought donuts, you want some? And yeah, I do accept breakfast and lunch if they bring it, okay? So no shame in my game, and my hubby knows about almost most of it, because unless I just don't care to mention it, most times he knows. So it was just like, I don't know, it was disheartening. So at this point, there's a lot being said in the text messages, and I'm like, let's be honest, you couldn't find anyone else to come with you, and that's why you used me, so that you could get a cheaper rate coming here. I was like, and I accepted knowingly that this was the case, but I also wanted to be here, so I accepted. And then she's like, yeah, my biggest regret was having invited you. And I was just like, interesting, because I've done nothing to you on this trip but be positive. So I'm walking towards the lobby. My husband's on the phone with me the entire time, because at this point it's like midnight. And he's like, are you sure you're okay? Like, walking to the shuttle by yourself, walking, in the middle of the night. And I'm like, I'm going to stay on the phone with you the entire time, because yeah, I think I'm okay. Like, I'm not buzzing or anything. Like, I had one drink and one shot. Like, I'm good as far as like very well aware of everything, not any type of drunk. The only thing that I'm probably not 100% is because I'm crying my eyeballs out, and I'm just so angry at this point. And so I go to the lobby, and I'm like, I really need another room. Me and my friend just got into an argument. I was like, and I cannot stay in that room. We're sharing a king size bed. Like, there's absolutely no way that I'm gonna sleep in the same bed with her tonight. And so of course the guy like could tell I'm like really distraught, and I'm on the phone still with my husband, and he's like, don't worry, like, I'm gonna get somebody to come down and talk to you, whatever. The manager comes up, and she's like, honey, what is going on? And so I'm like crying my eyeballs out, and I'm like, how do I even explain this? Like, how do I explain to someone that I think my friend is jealous of all the attention I'm getting from mostly women? I was like, I don't know what to say. This is embarrassing, because I don't normally look like this. I'm usually the fat girl that doesn't have this problem, but things have changed. And I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain to someone that I did nothing wrong, but because I've had a little bit of fun while I've been on my vacation, someone's not having it. So I start to briefly, like, kind of quickly explain to her, like, I don't know what the problem is. She thinks that I'm out here trying to have flings with people, and I'm in Jamaica to party. I was like, yeah, I am. Like, I will admit that, yeah, I did come to Jamaica to party. But I also called it an early night the night before. I didn't stay out too late the night I was by myself. And I didn't get to have any fun tonight because of everything that happened. Like, what the hell? So the lady's like, no, friends should not come to a vacation to break up. Like, you guys need to, work this out. Like, you do not come to Jamaica and this happened, and you guys are going to leave friends just like you came friends. And I was like, no, ma'am. I was like, there is zero possibility that I will be friends with her ever again. I'm like, because friends don't treat friends like that. Friends don't leave friends alone like that. Friends don't talk down to each other like that. Don't accuse of wanting to sleep with anyone like that. Like, and like I told my husband, if I wanted to do something, what was it to her? I was like, if I did want to mess around with the DJ, walk off with the DJ, first of all, I wouldn't have let her third wheel it. I would have been like, girl, I'm gonna go do my own thing. I will see you later. Because why would I want her third wheeling if I'm like having malicious thoughts in my mind? Second of all, if I wanted to do something, I'm a grown-ass woman. And guess what? You are not his mama. You are not his sister. You are not anything to worry about what I'm doing when I'm not with my husband. Okay? And I know that sounds ugly, but like, just to explain, like, when I told my husband the honest truth, I'm like, how many of your friends have cheated on their wives? And do you sit there and scour your friends because they're doing this? No, you're like, hey, dude, that's you. Like, leave me out of that. Okay? That's what you do. Like, people are grown. People know what they're doing. I know a lot of people who have done it. That is none of my business. If it's not my family, if it's not my brother, if it's not my cousin, my mama, my daddy, that is not my business. That is not for me to say, okay? That is, if you're not my best friend, like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, who are you to scour me? Who are you to judge me for something like that? Okay? So at this point, the manager lady goes to talk to my friend to see if she could mend things. So she comes back down and she's like, well, honey, she said some of the things you said, but she also said other things. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of figured she would. That's why I didn't want you to waste your time talking to her, because I'm sure she told you I was being some kind of ratchet hoe out here in Jamaica. And then I'm like, I have the text messages, ma'am. I have the text messages. I was like, you want to see them? And of course she was like, yes, you have text messages? Yes, girl. And I have video too. I was like, you want to see the text? This is what I texted her. You see, I'm telling her, like, I can't believe you thought I was going to go sleep with some DJ. If that was what he thought in his mind, and that's why he was trying to entertain me and bring me shots and whatnot, that's on him. It was not me. Okay? So I'm showing her the text messages of us going back and forth. And she's like, oh, she's like, yeah, she's like, I see you're telling me the truth. I see the proof. And she's like, party? Yeah, that's what Jamaica's about. Party. That's what you should be doing. Have a good time. This is Jamaica. And I was like, exactly. That is, yes. No, I'm not throwing a fit because we didn't get to party the entire time, but I also wasn't going to go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. Like, I came to have a good time. Like, I wanted to see what the speakeasy was about. I wanted to have fun, So she's like feeling sorry for me at this point because I'm telling her, like, you don't understand. I've been the ugly fat girl all my life. Like, I know what it is to be in the shadows of beautiful women, and I've done it, and I've played my part pretty well, and I've been supportive no matter what. And my mom to this day is gorgeous. To this day, when I'm with her, people tell her that she's gorgeous over telling me. Like, and by no means do I feel jealous or do I feel hatred towards my mother, because yeah, she is a beautiful woman. There's like no hiding it. And usually when we're together, she's the one getting the compliments, not me. Okay, like, I'm used to it. And so did I like the attention? Who doesn't like the attention? Who here can tell me, oh, I don't like being told I'm pretty, or I don't like being told I'm beautiful, or especially when it comes from other women, because women are the most judgmental. Women are usually the ones who don't like telling other women, who tear each other down, who don't like to be supportive and positive. Like, so when I get a compliment from a woman, like, I'm very appreciative, because it's a lot harder for a woman to give another woman a compliment. So I'm not sorry that they've been telling me and that I've been told that I'm beautiful on this trip. Like, no, I'm not sorry. Okay. And yeah, I do like it. Okay. Yes, it feels really good. It feels good to finally be told that you're beautiful. It feels good for people to not ignore you at the bar. It feels good for people to open the door for you a mile away because they see you get off your car at the gas station and they open the door for you, waiting for you to walk by so that they can take a glance. Yeah, it does feel good to get positive attention, because for many, many years, I was the ugly fat girl in the shadows. So, like, what? And I cried and I cried and I kept second guessing myself, you guys, and I was in such a funk for at least a week. because I start to question everything, and I start to question myself, and I start to question, like, am I not dressing conservative enough, or why do I choose to do the things that I do, or wear the things that I wear, or and then my husband's like, no, don't be second guessing yourself. Like, you've worked really hard to be able to be confident and wear what you want to wear. So it took me a while to recover from that experience. So what happens next is the real, like, shocker. So of course the manager's like, there's really no point in you paying for a different room, especially if you feel like you're gonna leave, because at this point I'm like, I'm not gonna sleep in the same room with her, and I don't want to fly back together with her, because on the way back we were going to be sitting together. I was like, I just don't want to be anywhere near her at this point. I'm so upset. Like, I don't want to see her. I don't want to talk to her. Like, no. So she's like, look, if you're saying that, because, you know, all this time I have my husband back and forth on the phone, and he's looking for flights to fly me back, like, ASAP. But of course, like, it's midnight now, so there's no flights till that next morning. And so he's like steady looking, and she's like, look, if you can show me that you have a flight first thing tomorrow morning, she's like, we'll let you stay in the lounge, and I'll give you some blankets and a pillow. That way you don't have to have the expense of purchasing a room for a few hours. She's like, because honey, it's already 12:45. She's like, you know, literally you're gonna have to be ready by 7 to leave on the shuttle. She's like, so do you honestly want to pay for a room? And I'm like, no, you're right. Like, I hadn't put things into perspective, and you're right, it's kind of late already. I'm like, so yes, thank you for offering me the lounge. I will take the lounge for tonight. I was like, my husband found a flight first thing in the morning, 7 a.m. or it was like at 11 a.m. but the shuttle leaves at 7 from the hotel. So I was like, worst case scenario, I just got to make it through this night. And she's like, well, do you want to go? Are you gonna get your stuff? And I was like, yeah, you're right. I need to go get my luggage. And she's like, do you want us to escort you, or can you handle it? This was where I made the mistake of thinking that I could handle it. So I'm like, no, I got this. I'm just going to go in there and grab my stuff and be back. So I will admit that I was being petty, and I walked in and I flung the door open and I grabbed my suitcase and I slammed it on the bed, and I'm like throwing my shit loudly on purpose because I'm mad, and you don't get to sleep if I don't get to sleep. And so I'm like chunking all my clothes in there. Luckily, I tend to stay pretty organized when I go to hotel rooms, and like I put my shoes up, I put all my clothes in the drawers that they offer, and like I hang up my dresses that I'm gonna wear. So like everything's very organized at this point, so I don't have like stuff everywhere, looking for stuff everywhere. So I'm like literally just grabbing everything from the drawers and throwing it back in my suitcase, because I'm like, I will organize them when I get downstairs. Right now I just want to leave. And so I'm grabbing everything and throwing it in there. I'm like, my passport's in the safe, and she like created the password and everything, so I have no clue how to get into the safe. So I tell her that I need my passport. She gets up from the bed, and this is like, okay, I'm gonna tell her I need my passport. I'm like, by the way, I need my passport out of the safe. And she's like getting up really slow, and she's like, please. And I'm like, please? I'm not fixing to tell someone who just damn near called me an attention whore, please, I need my passport. So she's like, oh, she starts to go off, and she grabs my fanny pack from Amazon that I linked on my bio in the last video. I grab my fanny pack, and she grabs it out of the safe and like chunks it at me, and it hits me on the chest. And I'm like, oh, I don't promote violence. Violence is not the way. But when you're in the spur of the moment, sometimes you just react. So like I literally grabbed my ring light from the drawer, and I like chunk it at her, and it's plugged into the wall, so it doesn't make it. It like literally lands like 3/4 of the way and like stops because it's plugged into the wall. And I'm like, and she's like, oh my god, I'm calling the police. Oh my god, you're crazy. And I'm like, I'm crazy. You hit me. Like, I'm crazy. Like, you got to hit me. You threw the purse at me, and I'm crazy. So she's like on the phone, and I'm like, oh my god, like she's seriously calling me. She's like, you're in another country, you're gonna be sorry. And I'm just like, So I proceed to like keep chunking all my stuff in there because I'm like, no, they're not going to believe her over me. Like, she hit me. I didn't get to hit her. I threw something at her, but it didn't land. So I unplugged my ring light. Like, I'm going crazy, like trying to put everything, and we're shouting to each other. And of course, she's like accusing me of all these things and being delusional and needing help and needing therapy. And, you know, I didn't say some so nice things because, you know, I'm like, well, that's probably why you're single, you know, and I, you know, because you're hurt and you're saying things that you wouldn't otherwise say if you weren't being hurt in the manner that you're being hurt in. So yes, we proceeded to hurt each other's feelings, because I'm sure just as she hurt mine, I probably stung her a little bit in some way. And then I'm zipping up my suitcase, and you know where I'm going? I'm gonna go the DJ all night. Mic drop, and I walk out. We all know that's not what was gonna happen, but I wanted her to believe that's what was gonna happen. And so I like literally like leave my luggage at the top of the stairway because there's no elevators at this hotel. So I leave my luggage at the top of the stairway, and I go downstairs, and I'm like still like my heart's racing, and I'm shaking, and I'm like just angry at this point. And I tell them my luggage is upstairs. It's at the end of the stairway. Like, I couldn't bring it down. And so they go up there, and she's like, okay, honey, like, calm down. Your stuff is in the, here's the lounge. It was like a lounge that they had like blocked off for the night with doors. And she's like, there's a public restroom right outside the doors. If you need anything, let the guys know. I can give you a room in the morning so you can freshen up. And they were just like she was like being so sweet to me, and like I'm hugging her, and I'm like, thank you so much. Like, you don't know how much it means that you were able to make accommodations for me and like help me in this way where you like saved me the extra money and like let me stay in your lounge. Like, I am eternally grateful for Sandals Beach Resort. And I can't even remember her name. She did get my information, but I never saw anything come through from her, because she said she would send me an email. But anyways, long story short, she went out of her way to make sure that I was taken care of and accommodated for and all that good stuff. And then she made sure in the morning that I got on the shuttle. She gave me a big hug and told me not to change, told me to stay and be the same bubbly person. And she told me not to change for anybody, and for me to keep trying to grow and be friendly and all that good stuff. So yes, I jumped on my shuttle, and even though I looked like absolute crap, because I literally, like, I woke up in the morning and I used a makeup wipe to wipe off my makeup. I took the lashes off, I took contacts off, like my hair was a mess. It was in a bun at this point. I didn't like freshen up or anything from the night before that we were out, you know, for dinner and all that good stuff. Because at this point I didn't care. Like, I was just ready to be home, back to my normal family and people that support me, people that understand my transformation, people that have been here from the beginning, who are not judging me because of the attention that I'm getting now, or, you know, making me feel this big because of it, because of my changes. Like, it is what it is. And most people around me understand and don't judge me for it or don't treat me any different for it. So yes, I ended up having to fly to Dallas, not even to Houston. I had to fly to Dallas, and my husband had to go pick me up, drive 4 hours to go get me, and then 4 hours to get back home. But it was worth it. I felt safe and secure again. I felt like I was where I belong. I was upset. I cried almost the entire time waiting at the airport because I didn't get to go shopping. I didn't get to try any local food. I didn't get to go shopping for souvenirs. I didn't get to do a lot of things because I cut my trip so short. But at the same time, it was like I was ready to leave. Like, I just didn't want to be there anymore. Yes, that was my trip, you guys. It was just a roller coaster of emotions. I wish I had never accepted to go on this trip. I would have still had her as a friend. Not that that was probably a good thing, but we probably would have never got to this point. So it is what it is. And it's just, the moral of the story here is that people sometimes are going to have a hard time accepting who you've become. And I know a big portion of our community here has lost a lot of weight. There's so many of you who have lost 60, 70, 80, 100, 120 pounds. And it's hard for family and friends to accept that sometimes. And sometimes they'll be quick to say, oh, stop losing weight, you're starting to look sick, or oh, you're starting to look too thin, or you're looking older. Like, instead of them being like, it's so good that you're healthy, it's so good that your diabetes is under control, it's so good that you feel more confident and better about yourself, because obviously you will stop losing the weight when you feel like you've lost enough weight, and it shouldn't be anyone else's decision to make. And unfortunately, I mean, people lose relationships over weight loss. And at the end of the day, if someone really cares about you, if someone really loves you, they're gonna love you for you no matter what size you are. Just like sometimes people think it's harsh when men or women react when their spouses gain weight. It's the same thing when they lose weight. Sometimes they like them bigger, and then they lose the weight and they don't like it. And it's not fair. It should be what you want. It should be where you feel comfortable. It shouldn't be up to anyone else what you feel like you should look like. And unfortunately, a lot of you are probably going through similar situations, maybe not in this intensity, but I know that so many of you are probably going through something similar with someone in your life, because I've seen it across the board. I've seen my cousin go through this. I've seen my mom go through this. I've seen Debbie go through this, where people just can't accept it. And people will make their little remarks and make their comments. And sometimes, even though you're feeling good about yourself, they will come back and try to tear you down and tell you that you're not looking too good, or you're looking sick, or you're looking old, or whatever it may be. And that is so not fair. But you're not alone. And it's something that is happening to so many of us. And I would love for you guys to share your thoughts and comments and concerns in the comments, because I know so many of us are experiencing the same thing. Like I said, probably not as intense as mine, because mine happened on a vacation far, far away, and I had no one to run to there. So it was really hard. But we got through it, and me uploading my shorts and letting you guys know that I had experienced an awful experience, and you guys coming to my rescue and talking to me and saying welcome back and we missed you, and you know, all the kind words that I received, really, like, this is home. This is where I feel comfortable. We've developed this community where we can talk and support each other, and that's what it's about. Having supportive people around you is the biggest thing. And sometimes you're just going to have to accept to let go of some people, and it's okay. It's okay to let go of people who are not doing any service to your life. And friends will come and go. I've lost a lot of friends along the way, and it's okay. You can't keep having people who are negative around you. Like, you just can't. So, you guys, I'm sorry I kept you so long. This probably needed to be a part 3. I don't know. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so glad that you were here to hear my story. I hope we all learned a valuable lesson from this. I am so happy to be back home and just back into creating content. I'm excited. We hit 8,000 subscribers. The last time that I did a video, we were just shy of 8,000, and now we're like at 8,100 already. So thank you guys so much for the continuous support, and the growth on the channel has been incredible. I'm really hoping we hit that 10K before January 1st. That is my goal, to have 10K before January 1st. So I hope that we can achieve that goal together, you guys. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. Again, my loves, thank you so much to each and every one of you who has continued to support me through my journey and who continues to be here for the ride. Till next time, talk soon.